So we're diving down deep into this industry which has exploded and has drawn the interest of many of you here in the room today. The point I want to focus this speech on is, are ICOs a bubble or democratizing finance? So, and perhaps you're thinking they're a bit of both as well. Clearly, we've seen explosive growth in what's going on within ICOs, but it's also attracting a lot of money, and it's and with that is coming very smart people looking at creating significant innovation. So the market is booming. There's huge levels of innovation, but there are real risks and real sort of problematic behavior creeping into the market. So in our data, we've tracked more than $3 billion worth of ICOs. This has taken off dramatically from even the beginning of this year. So in the first quarter, the numbers invested in ICOs was negligible. If you look at September or July, September was a banner month, we had roughly $600 million invested. The amounts invested in ICOs came down a bit last month because there's been a few jitters coming into the market with some notable ICOs experiencing trading problems. But as you can see, there's been a dramatic upwards trajectory this year. So the $3 billion or more that we're projecting in ICOs this year is going to be up from $150 million last year, and that which is when only a handful were raised. So the largest ICOs, so all the top 20 ICOs this year have raised more than every single ICO last year. So and more than Ethereum itself. So at the top, as David was mentioning earlier, EOS is raising a staggering sum of money, and it's going up all the time because they're continuously raising money. There's obviously Filecoin, Tezos, which has been in the news related to problems here in Switzerland, Bancor, which is obviously well known and is also one of those notable ICOs which has experienced trading difficulties, and a number of other very big banner companies, and we'll be hearing from them over the next few days as well. So in terms of funding trends, we've attempted to break down ICOs and blockchain into a sort of 16 taxonomy group. The way we've broken it down, the most active area is internet services and platforms, followed by information exchanges, followed by exchanges more broadly. But there's a sort of Cambrian explosion of innovation in the space as smart entrepreneurs are seeing all the money and the technological innovation afforded by the blockchain and looking to do some very interesting things. The areas of most activity and that we can see sort of grabbing this future of ICOs, these are where groups are registered. The top area is unsurprisingly the US, given the sort of startup landscape there. Second is Switzerland, which given the sort of status of the crypto valley here, it is perhaps no surprise as well. Followed by the UK, Singapore, Russia, and then a whole wealth of jurisdictions are going after ICOs, and there's a number that we haven't been able to track as well. So why are ICOs popular? I think one of the governing reasons that a lot of entrepreneurs are rushing towards the space is there's just an abundant supply of capital. I don't know how many sort of actually veteran, storied Silicon Valley entrepreneurs who are sort of sitting up and taking notice and preparing an ICO at the moment due to the sheer availability of capital. Then the liquidity is very interesting from an investor and an entrepreneur standpoint. So historically, the startups, as we well know, have been very illiquid vehicles. So the fact that ICOs are now able to do this is great. Then it's relatively simple compared to the sort of listing on a public market, although, as I'm sure you all know, it's also fairly complex. And then the big thing that I think is getting people very interested in with the tokens is the utility of the ICOs and the various tokens, which is hugely exciting, I'm sure is driving a lot of the innovation in this room. Obviously, there are some major drawbacks with ICOs. I think there's sort of very alarming scammy behavior. One of the first business areas that I've been to where I've come across policemen in the audience of conferences tracking an area. There's clear overvaluation, so the sums being raised for groups that are hypothetical. In some cases, because the technology is very exciting, it is going to be borne out, but in many cases will prove wrong. There's a degree of amateurism. It's very odd to be people used to sort of the rarefied sort of settings of the Sandhill Road and London in the city, to be sort of accustomed to getting deal flow from Telegram groups and such like. And there's also sort of almost an over-optimism, which is hugely exciting and breathtaking, but at the same time maybe lacks a degree of realism. One of the clear, exciting areas of ICOs and what they mean for the future is how it's going to sort of change or shake up the VC industry. So, and what we're seeing is the VCs are looking to directly invest ahead of ICOs. They're also looking to sort of find a way, despite their fund structures, to invest in the ICOs themselves. And they're also exploring hybrid models where they can take stakes in the company and also take a part of the ICO. So where do we see this going for the future of ICOs? So I think there's the significant amount of money that has been raised by ICOs means that this trend will continue, right? So there's going to be a lot of groups that are strongly capitalized, and they can probably sit out 3 to 5 years without ever needing to tap money again, or perhaps even more than that. And then the ICOs will become increasingly popular as funding mechanisms. Today, we're seeing numerous groups, and numerous sort of smart Silicon Valley people with storied backgrounds now go, I want to do an ICO. I think that trend will continue and only go up and up. There's going, and as well as smart young entrepreneurs with an idea. There's also the sort of beginnings of public attention for ICOs, which is very exciting, and you can read it in sort of Reuters and Business Insider. Obviously, that's a risk as well. And then there's an improvement in the security and the technological capabilities behind ICOs. In sort of on the downside, I think we're inevitably due some form of market shakeout at some point. The behavior is clearly very frothy, and there's a lot of excess. There's also sort of a big unknown related to regulation, and it's very unclear how that will play out. So we've seen the reactions of the likes of China, and there'll be a number of others. At the same time, institutional investors are not very much in the space. This is part of the big opportunity relating to ICOs, that the institutionals are less involved at the moment, but also a big worry if they do not get involved at some stage. So anyway, we're Novum Insights. We're the data analytics company of the future. I'm Toby Lewis. I'm here with my colleague Brenda Gonzalo here. And you can reach me on toby@novuminsights.com.